All right. So, a very good evening to everyone, or rather, good afternoon from wherever you are. So, welcome to the strategy session, the first session of strategy series of mathematics. Right. So, uh, in today's session, we'll be basically discussing the different strategy for different students, depending on your preparation for your board exams. Now, I hope and I believe that everyone must be already uh, done and dusted with your pre-board exams, right? However, the results may be. So, you have got a basic idea about how the board exams will be, right? How the pattern would be, what kind of questions you can expect. So in this session, I'll just make sure that I'll make sure that you go through all the expected questions, all the expected topics from which you can score marks. Uh, I understand that you might or you definitely will be feeling a little bit of jitters, a little bit of nervousness because the board exams are happening for after a long while, after a gap of 7 years, they're again happening all across the nation. The mandatory board exams. So depending on what you have scored in your pre-boards, how you have scored in your pre-boards, what kind of uh, loopholes, what kind of things that went wrong in pre-boards, make sure that you overcome those shortcomings and of course score well. That's our ultimate goal. uh, so what I'll suggest you guys is stay with me for at least 45 minutes to 1 hour, and I'll make sure that you are for sure prepared, not just theoretically or practically, but also mentally, right? You are well prepared for your coming board season. All right. Hello, Murli. Hello, Gaurav. Hello, Yogesh. Welcome, everyone. So, uh, one thing I would like to point out over here is that some students I've seen in the past 1 week that some students have come to me and saying, I'm not scoring well in pre-boards, I'm not doing that great what I expect or my parents expect. So it becomes very, very imperative to actually have a very balanced sort of approach or a balanced mind regarding your preparation henceforth. If you've scored really well, beyond your expectations, do not get overconfident. Do not become lazy. Do not become complacent towards your preparation now. Also, if you're scoring a little less, you're not scoring up to your expectations, make sure that you go for not just the preparation but also the mental preparation, that you understand that yes, okay, I haven't scored that much up to my expectations. You find out your mistakes, you find out your shortcomings, and you overcome those, because it's our ultimate goal is about the board exams, right? Nobody will ever ask you how much did you score in pre-boards, or did you do well in pre-boards. So it becomes very, very important from that side. Hi, Adarsh, Gyan, Mohit. Hello, everyone. So, as I was saying, that have a balanced approach towards your preparation. That's very, very important in the coming week or so before your board exams start, at least. And in this session, we'll basically go on and discuss the different marking scheme and the what kind of questions and what the weightage is for different chapters and different units. Right, so let's get going, guys. Let's go ahead with our first, basically, specifically the maths board exam. Of course, everybody knows that board exams happen at the end of the academic year, right? I'm sure just 2 weeks probably are left, 1 week or so for your board exams. Of course, there is no division as such of syllabus. You have your entire syllabus coming up. There is no essay 1 and essay 2 this time, unlike your 9 standard. Marks will be awarded, of course, on a 9-point scale. That is basically with every decrement of 9 marks, your grade is going to decrease. Maximum weightage, the maximum marks for your board exams, maths board exam especially, is 80 marks, right? And the 20 marks are allocated for your internal assessment, which I'm sure has already happened, which already is being allocated to you. The periodic assessment, we'll discuss that in our coming slides, what it caters to, the 20 marks. Important questions we'll discuss, Shubham. Have a patience. We'll come to those. The minimum passing marks are 27 out of 80. You can ignore that because I'm sure uh, each one of you at least will be scoring, if not the opposite, at least 72. But yeah, more than 27 for sure. I've scored 79 in my periodic test 3. Vijay Vardhan Reddy says 79. That's wonderful. 77 in my pre-boards. I'm doing very silly mistakes, which prevents me. Okay. Uh, I'll answer your doubt. I'll cater to your doubt in a while, Vijay. I'm sure that's a very, very general and a very popular uh, problem that everyone must be facing. How to avoid silly mistakes, how to avoid the curiosity. We score 100% with NCERT, we need to practice. No, Abhijit, just have patience. I'll cater to all your doubts. First, let's go through the marking scheme at least, right? So 80 marks in total, 27 the passing marks, which you do not have to uh, give importance to, right? Because ultimately you will get more than 27. That's not the question over here. So 20 marks, as I was saying, for periodic assessment, the basically internal assessment, that would be divided into 3 parts. The periodic test, which usually happens, right, over the academic year, you must have had pre-midterm, midterm, and post-midterm. They are allocated 10 marks, right? Of course, these are all gone now. This is not in your hands right now. So whatever you have scored, I guess most of you must have scored 10 on 10 over here, right? So uh, notebook completion, second point, the notebook completion. I'm sure everyone who's averagely also sincere would have, of course, maintained the notes, the notebook, completed all the notes. So yes, you must have got it checked and got 5 marks. And the lab practical is again of 5 marks. That's total gives us 20 marks. These 20 marks are already done and you're through with them, right? So I'll not discuss much about them because it's not that you can, these are in your hands. These marks are already been allocated to you. Hopefully, full, that's 20. So coming to Abhijit and Vijay's doubt that you're not getting 100% because of you dealing with silly mistakes or probably silly mistakes in calculation or concepts or any silly mistake in general. See, what I'll suggest is there are 2 things over here. Either you have not prepared, you are not through with your entire syllabus, right? So you are feeling insecure about a question coming up from a topic which you haven't practiced or you don't know about. So you are having the insecurities and hence the mind wanders and you do silly mistakes. And second point is when you know the entire syllabus, you have worked so hard that you are putting yourself in undue pressure and letting it mount on you and doing silly mistakes just because you get pressurized by seeing the question, or you feel that you can do the question in 2 minutes and you take 3 minutes, right? And then you sort of lose track of time and then lose track of the question difficulty. You might have judged it wrong, right? So in both the scenarios, what you need to do is have a very balanced approach. Do not be insecure about the exam, because I'm sure every one of you has prepared so much all throughout the year, right? You've given so many periodic tests, you have practiced so many questions, right? So there's no way by which you should feel insecure or you should feel that what kind of question I can expect. Oh my god, if a question comes and I'm not able to solve, what will happen, right? So do not have that insecurity, because if you're insecure, if you are nervous, if you are not able, you're not yourself, right? You will do silly mistakes, right? Vijay Vardhan Reddy, what I can understand from your comment is basically that you have scored, of course, 77, 79, more than 90% marks, and you're doing very silly mistakes. So one thing you can do is, my personal opinion, because I've been through that, I have also done very silly mistakes all throughout the board exams of mine. So what I'll suggest is that make sure that you uh, recheck just then and there whatever calculations, whatever answer you are getting, make sure you do just go through it once more so that you re-verify whatever you have done, right? And you do not do silly mistakes and lose marks, right? So one point I would like to point over here: how will we get 100 marks? Anshul, right now your aim should not be for 100 marks. Right now your target, your sole aim should be for getting those 80 on 80, right, which your board exams is all about. Internal assessment is not in your hands, which probably the marks have been already allocated to you. The 80 on 80 is in your hands. For that, for scoring that 100%, that full marks in maths, what you need to do is from now on, you still have, I guess, around more than 1 month, right? Specifically speaking, for your maths board exam, you have around more than 1 month or so. So before your board exam start, I guess the first board exam is in the first week of March. Before that, make sure you revise the NCRT, right? Revise the NCRT, I mean that do all the examples, solve all the examples. If not the back exercises, example solving you have to do, right? Because it has been seen for the past few years, in fact, I can say for sure 10 years, that usually questions from based on examples are asked, right? So make sure that you go through the examples in these 10 odd days that you have. Also, make sure that you do the sample paper. By sample paper, I don't mean that just, okay, fine, I'll see question number 12, question number 18, and question number 27. These questions I find peculiar, or I find that they are of my level, right? But you have to give in the 3 hours, right? You have to sit down. If you're giving a sample paper, make sure you build that temperament, you build that stamina of giving an exam for 3 hours, constantly doing the question and keeping a check on time, and then go ahead and assess yourself as to how did you do. Garv Lalwani says that SAS, Triple S congruency rules are important for exams. Yes, I would say they are important, but how they are important actually is basically you'll not be asked to prove an SSS congruency rule or a SAS congruency rule. You'll not be asked that. You'll have to apply that in questions. The application of those will be asked, right? So make sure that you understand the basics and then you know how to apply those theorems. Which book is best for board exams? As I said, Ankit Tandon, that NCRT, stick to your NCRT now. Do not go for any other reference book right now, because CBSE also proclaims questions will be from NCRT or either based from NCRT. So make sure that you go through the NCRT in and out. You know each and every question, from which page, from which topic, from which exercise, which question, you are through with it, right? So just stick to your NCRT. Do not go for R.D. Sharma or any other sort of reference book. Rahul Gupta says, sir, is previous year question papers sufficient? See, how do you define sufficient? What do you think will be sufficient? If you practice for 10 hours, if you practice for 12 hours, if you practice for 6 hours, it depends on different factors, on different individuals, right? So we cannot say that just doing the previous year question papers is sufficient. For some, it might be more than sufficient. For some, it might not be. But just see from your preparation point of view, from your pre-board exams analysis, that where you lack actually. Are you lacking in the concepts? If you're lacking in the concepts, make sure you go back to the basics. Go back to the NCRT, right? Go back and read and understand the concepts again. If you are getting more than 70 odd marks in your pre-boards and you're all through with your NCRT, if you're perfectly through with your NCRT, then you can, of course, just do the previous year or probably do some sample papers. We have on our website different sample papers which you can do. Also, guys, we'll be shortly in the description. If you're watching it from the YouTube, in the description, you can find the link for the Meritnation top 100 questions, which you can expect in your board exams. So you can get that questions by just signing up. Go to that link in the description on YouTube. If you're watching in the Facebook Live, then you have in the comment section, you must be getting a description, or basically the link that you need to sign up on FB Live, and then you will get the MN top 100 questions, which are, I would say, 80% average questions, not so difficult, not so easy. And the 20% are HOTS, right? Which will be actually the determining factor for some people for getting that 80 on 80 or for getting that 75 on 80. That difference of 5 marks that HOTS question actually make in majority number of cases. So make sure that you get a hand of get hold of this MN top 100 questions, and you practice them diligently, right? Sir, our board exams is very difficult. Board examinations are just like your normal final exams, which you have been giving at least for 4 or 5 years. I'm assuming from fifth standard, you've been giving board exams. Those, they are just like that. They are exactly the replica of your final exams. There are few pointers that I like to point out over here. The boards, how they are different. Uh, First of all, the center is different. You'll be allotted a different school, a different table, and a different atmosphere. So it kind of is a different environment in which you are giving your final exams. So in a way that adds up to the pressure or your expectations or the hype around the board exams. Uh, Treat it as like a picnic, right? Treat it as like a picnic that you're going to the center early in the morning, and then 10 o'clock you'll be seated in your table, 15 minutes reading time, and then 10:30 your exam gonna start, right? So treat it as like a picnic. Probably you're going to a different center giving exam, right? Sir, मुझे डर लग रहा है maths exam को. Come on, Bhavna. Math exam, if you're scared, it will scare you more, right? Do not be afraid of maths exam. I've heard many students saying, sir, मुझे डर लग रहा है, मुझे नहीं आता है, मुझसे questions नहीं हो रहे हैं. But don't be like that. Don't have that mind frame that you're not able to do the questions, you are feeling scared. That's not how you should go approach your board exams. This is not just for maths, this is for general board exams. You should not think like you are scared of the exam. You should be talking about or having that attitude that let's see what kind of question is going to come. Let's see what kind of different sort of question this time will come. Let's say that a surface area volume question comes up. Let's see, will they put gulab jamun or will they put balls, or what kind of shape will they ask, right? You should have that curiosity, that excitement for those questions. You should be raring to solve those questions. That should be your attitude right now, because trust me on this, you have practiced a lot for all throughout the year, right? It's the time to just execute. How should we deal with stress? Okay, Radhika, at this stage, at this point of time, I guess you must be feeling a lot of stress because it's just 1 or 2 weeks for your board exams. How to deal with stress? The best answer to advise is basically that do not take stress. But how do you not take stress when you've got exams coming up? So for that, I would say, first of all, prepare well. Prepare like there is no end to it. Prepare in and out the NCERT of class 10th at least. The board for boards, basically go through the examples. Prepare as much as you can. Practice as many questions as you can, right? Automatically, if you start solving the questions, if you build the confidence, if you build the momentum, you'll not feel the stress. That's number one. Number two, you can do one thing. You cannot think of the end game. Don't not think of what marks, how many marks will I get, what kind of questions I will get. Don't think of that. Just think that I will do my best and forget about the rest. Just do your best and forget everything else. Forget the rest. How many hours should we study? Zoom Gamer. Seeing your username, Zoom Gamer, I think so that I would advise you that whatever amount of hours you're studying, double that just by you seeing your username. If you're into a lot of PC games and mobile games, try to curtail them a little bit and try to give more emphasis on studying. You can, of course, play those games after 28th, after your board exams. I would say ideally 6 hours. 6 hours. I'm not saying I'm not benchmarking 6 hours, but I'm saying 6 hours would be an ideal kind of hours that you can devote, because now that you don't have to go to school, now that you don't have to go to tuitions or anything else, devote 6 hours of self-study in which you can take intermittent breaks. Take 10 minutes break, study for 45 minutes, 1 hour, take 10 minutes break, 20 minutes break. But do not just be complacent that, okay, fine, I've studied for 1 hour, then I'll make sure that I'll watch a movie. No, don't do that. Probably watch a web series if you want, 10 minutes, but do not just study for 1 hour and then take a 2 hour break. That's not acceptable. How to manage time during maths exam? Oh yes, very very good question asked by Sonali. How do we manage the time, the 3 hours? We have to revise, we have to check, and of course we have to complete the paper. So for that, I'll first go to the marking scheme. I'll let you know what kind of questions and what type of questions you can expect. Then I'll come back to your question, Sonali. All right. So first of all, the question paper design, right? So we know that we are having 30 questions in the question paper. Of course, all the questions are compulsory. You cannot skip a question. However, if the choice is given, you can do either one of them. Your maths board exam will be having 4 sections: section A, B, C, D. Section A comprising of 6 questions of 1 mark, that is 6 marks. Section 2, 6 questions again, but of 2 marks now, that's 12. Section C will be the most important. That's 10 questions, 3 marks. So that makes it the major chunk, 30 marks. And the last section, the score booster section, the 8 questions of 4 marks. That will be a total of 32. So this makes us 80. Now, you might have a different strategy for attempting the question. Someone might start with section A, do 1 mark questions. Someone might do 8 mark questions. Someone might do the 3 mark questions, right? Someone might start with section D, or you might start with section A. It's up to you. But what I'll suggest is that start from the question number 1. Start from the 1 mark questions. If you're scoring well in your pre-board exams, if you have done pretty well, if you're confident about your maths board exam, make sure you start with section A, because that will give you a lot of boost. You'll do 1 mark question in probably 1 minute or 2 minutes, or probably 3 minutes if it's slightly a tricky one, but it will give you a lot of boost. So make sure that you do start with section A and section B, finish around about in, let's say, 45 minutes or so, right? Finish section A and section B and treat section A and section B as like one section. These are like easy sitters that you have done all across through the year. So do section A, section B very quickly, let's say 45 minutes to 1 hour probably if it's really difficult. Move on to section C with the attitude that I have to finish section C as soon as possible. Because what I've seen is, in many times what happens is, when you start your board exam, you are emphasizing on writing the rough column, drawing everything with underlining everything, writing different pens, using different pens. So you tend to devote a lot of time. You tend to waste a lot of time in section A and section B. And also, once you finish section A and section B, you're like, okay, fine, I have to done 2 sections, right? But please understand, this is just 18 marks, right? Your major game will lie in C and D section. So make sure that you capitalize on C and D section very much, and you try to be concise, to the point, and clear in your answer. Do not beat around the bush in attempting the question. Be very concise, write on the formula, apply the formula, get the answer, move to the next question. Time, I would say that depends, Shreya, the time allocation to each section. As I said, section A and B, cumulatively, you can do in round about 45 minutes. Section C in probably 1 hour, 15 minutes, right? 1 hour, 15 minutes for section C. That's sufficient. This, I'm clubbing it. I'm saying 45 minutes. This can change depending on what kind of question paper it comes and what kind of comfort level you have with the questions. And also, remaining, how much? 1 hour we have remaining. So 1 hour, the last section. That should be your ideal time allocation for different sections. Internal choices will be provided in few questions. Make sure you do the easy one or the question that you have already seen, right? That's where the decision making will be applied. So do that, choose that wisely. Best meme says, my Pythagoras theorem problems are weak. So from which book should I practice, or should I solve last year triangle problems? Best memes, I would like to give you the best advice, and that's, do come to the next session, that's tomorrow, and we'll discuss in detail the questions, right? The actual questions we'll discuss, right? I'll give you a very good concept, a trick sort of, which will help you in solving those questions very nicely and very quickly. Please tell how to cover the whole syllabus in this peak time. Shweta, uh, in this peak time, how to cover the entire syllabus? What I'll suggest is I'll go back to the units now. The units weightage. I'm sure you're all aware of the different weightage allocated to number systems, algebra, coordinate, geometry, trigo, mensuration, stats, and probability. Of course, you can get the blueprint anywhere on our Meritnation website also, right? The major chunk is basically over here of geometry, of algebra, and of trigo, right? This is a major chunk. Rest all chapters are very independent. Coordinate geometry, 6 marks, independent. Number systems, independent, right? It's very easy, very scoring. Number system, coordinate, mensuration is all about formulas. We'll discuss that in a while. How do you start your revision? How do you start your preparation in the final phase of preparation? I would say you start with coordinate geometry, right? Why I'll say that? Because coordinate geometry is a very, very independent, very easy to score, and has a very limited amount of syllabus. What do we have in coordinate geometry? Let's discuss. Come on, everyone. Yes, guys, what do we have in coordinate geometry? It's only about 3 formulas, 3 subtopics we have got in coordinate geometry, nothing else. Let me just write down. Coordinate geometry. What do we have in coordinate geometry? We have got the distance formula, isn't it? We've got the distance formula, which I'm sure everyone is aware of, is the easiest formula in 10 standard. We've got the section formula, right? mx1 plus nx2 divided by m plus n, comma my1 plus ny2 divided by m plus n. That's it, right? That's it. And also, you've got finally your area of a triangle. That is it. You've got just 3 formulas of coordinate geometry. You're done with 6 marks. Just do one question each, and you'll be done with your coordinate geometry, right? So that will give you a boost in your preparation. That will give you a very momentum in your preparation. So make sure you start with coordinate geometry. Tricky question comes for simplification. Tricky trigonometry comes. This is something I've gone pre-words with. All right. So Habib says, what would be your approach to a tricky trigonometric question? Comes for simplification. He's come across this in pre-boards. All right. So first I'll cater to Himanshu's doubt that he's saying that he's having problems in remembering formulas for mensuration, especially spheres. All right, we'll discuss that. So see guys, coming to mensuration, it's all about formulas. I would say only the application of formulas, nothing else. You just have to basically learn the formulas and know how to apply the formulas. Now, Himanshu is saying especially spheres, you're having the problems, right? Especially in spheres. So go back to 9th standard. When you started with something which is curved, what was that? That was nothing but circles, right? A circle has an area of pi r square. I hope everyone knows that. Then write down 2 pi r square. Then see which is for 2 pi r square. I would say the curved surface area for hemisphere. That's for 2 pi r square. Then comes the 3 pi r square. That's the total surface area of hemisphere. And lastly, we've got 4 pi r square also. 4 pi r square is nothing but, I'm sure everyone remembers, the curved or the total surface area of sphere. Because sphere is what? Sphere is entirely curved. It's in totality curved. So its curved surface area is actually equal to total surface area, which is 4 pi r square. So make sure that you learn these formulas like that. Pi r square, 2 pi r square, 3 pi r square, 4 pi r square. Now you just have to fit circle, curved surface area of hemisphere, total surface area of hemisphere, total surface area of sphere. That's how you will learn the formulas, right? And make sure that you revise these formulas on a constant basis, that every 3 days or 4 days, depending on what kind of preparation you have, revise those formulas, because it's all about the formulas in mensurations. And also, guys, very, very important, especially in mensuration, is calculations, because it's more of calculation intensive questions which will be asked, right? You will be asked to use 22 by 7 as pi or 3.14, or you'll have lot many calculations. So make sure that you avoid silly mistakes, silly calculation errors over here in this particular unit, that's mensuration. So this was about mensuration. We'll discuss this more in the tomorrow's session, which I'll take up a few questions from this, because mensuration has two kinds of questions. If you look in totality, mensuration has got one of a combination of solids, that you've got a hemisphere mounted on a cone or a sphere mounted on a cylinder, right? So you'll have a combination of solids, and then you'll be asked to find either surface area or either the volume of it. And also the second type is the conversion of solids, like where 100 metallic spherical balls are melted to form a very elongated cylinder, a wire, right? Calculate how many, what is the radius of the wire, and so on and so forth, right? So you'll get conversion of solids and combination of solids, two type of questions in mensurations, all catering to the formulas, the application of formulas. So make sure your formulas on your fingertips, you're all prepared with the formulas, because if you apply the formula wrong, then it's a big blunder, right? So try to avoid that by remembering and constant revision of the formulas. Then let's move ahead. Now the question paper design, how do they design the question paper? Let's come to actually making the questions, not solving the questions. So when they make the question, they keep in mind that some questions will be based on your knowledge. That is, just by, if you remember the formula, you can do the question, right? That's like 1/4 of your exam. Some questions, 2 and 3 is clubbed, actually, the understanding and application. They cannot be independent. If you can understand, you have to understand the application as well. This is the major chunk where your math board exam will revolve around, that understanding the concept and knowing how to apply that. One thing is, you know the concept. Okay, I know it's pi r square. Then you need to understand that, okay, fine, the radius is given or the diameter is given, right? That's where the your focus, your concentration comes in. How focused you are while giving the exam. You should not make a mistake in reading the question. That's very, very important. Make sure you read the question entirely, right? You understand it very quickly. So coordinate geometry, important problems. Coordinate geometry, important problems, as I had said, we'll discuss that in the next session, not today. Which section should we start from? Manoj, we have already discussed that. Section which you should start with is, ideally, if you've scored well in your pre-boards and you are confident about your board exams, you should start from question number 1. Just start from question number 1, go in line. If you do not know a question, let's say question number 11, you do not know, you leave some space, go for question number 12. You come back to question number 11 later on, right? If you get stuck in some question, again, leave some space, move on to the next question. Do not get stuck in just one question, guys. It's very, very important. Do not take it on your ego or you do not get nervous. If you get stuck in a question, you're not able to crack it. Just leave that, leave a decent amount of space, move on, do the next question. How to prepare between 5 days gap? Simi, yeah, of course. That's a very, very good question, Simi. That I'm sure everybody knows that you are having a 5-day gap in your preparatory leave. You're getting 5 preparatory leaves. Your exam is on 28th, and you have, I guess, social science on 22nd, I guess. So in those 5 days, what you are supposed to do is make sure you pick up 2-3 chapters every day. You pick up 2-3 chapters, you revise them thoroughly. And how do you start? You start with coordinate geometry, go on to constructions probably, and then mensuration, and then lastly move on to your trigo or algebra, right? Or if you are comfortable in algebra, you can start with that also. But make sure you allocate a decent amount of time to every unit, right? Also, in those 5 days, I would say that in about the second day or the third day, not the second last day or the last day, do not do on that day, but on the second or the third day, do a sample paper. Do a sample paper, which is probably a previous year. That will be a very good eye opener, I would say, or a very good test, as in to test how much time you are getting allocating for every section, where you are doing you're going wrong, and if you're able to complete in 3 hours or not. So make sure that you do one sample paper in those 5 days, just one. And also make sure that you keep your body clock the same. That is, you give the exam in the stipulated time, that is 10:30 to 1:30, when you will be having your board exam, right? 10:30 to 1:30, you should be actually very focused, very concentrated, very you should be raring to go. You should not fall asleep from 10:30 to 1:30. This is not just for those 5 days, this is from now on. Now on, make sure you get into the rhythm of solving questions, of uh, giving exam from 10:30 to 1:30, because that is very, very helpful, right? Because it's all about the body clock. If you can build a rhythm that from 10:30 to 1:30 I'll sit down and study and do questions, automatically on that day, on the D day, automatically your mind, your body will work in your favor, and you'll be able to do much more. So make sure that you build your body clock from now on, that 10:30 to 1:30, or whatever your timings are. Make sure that you stick to that and do questions in that time frame. How to prepare us mentally before the exam? Megha. All right, we'll discuss that. Naila Zaman says, I know all the theorems of triangles, but I'm not able to prove the questions during exam. Naila Zaman, I guess you are a Meritnation student. Please watch the recording for the triangles chapter and also do the NCRT, right? If you are not able to get that again, you can get back to our mentors, to different teachers to ask and answer. You can post your doubts and we'll discuss more in your query. How to solve questions of height and distance. Okay, height and distance, guys, the application of trigonometry, that's a very different and a very vital unit, where students usually feel that it's very difficult because a different sort of question is asked, a challenging question is asked on trigonometry, which you have a limited knowledge of. But trust me on this, you just have two triangles in applications of trigonometries in heights and distances. You just have two triangles to solve. What are those two triangles? You've got a right angle triangle. I'm just drawing a rough right angle triangle right now. One and another one, probably like this. Just two right angles. Your entire chapter, your entire question will revolve around just two triangles. What are these two triangles? Let's discuss them in detail quickly. Angle C being 90, angle R being 90, because of course we are using trigonometry, so one of the angles has to be 90. So both the angles are 90 in each of the triangles. One angle will be 30, one angle will be 60. The other pair in the other triangle will be 45, 45. This will be 45 and 45, right? These are the two triangles that you will get in any question from anywhere from heights and distances, because of the fact that you are only aware of 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90. Are you aware of any other sine, cosine, tan value? No, you only have that table. So your questions will revolve only on these two triangles. You cannot have any other triangle possible in heights and distances. So over here, one thing to note is that if this is x, this is x, this is root 2x. Now they will just change the values depending on the x. Either they will make it 60, 45, whatever meters they will put, or centimeters or kilometers, but the ratio will be the same. The ratio will be 1:1 root 2. That's it. 45, 45, 90. That's it. You need to solve this triangle. That's your heights and distances question. Moving on to triangle ABC. In that, the ratio would be like this, let's say, is 2x. This is, let's say, root 3x. This will be 1x, just the x. The ratio is like that x square plus 3x square gives us 4x square, and then this is 2x. So the ratio is like 1:root 3:2. That's it. This is opposite 30, this is opposite 60, and this is opposite 90. This is 45, 45, and 90. That's it, guys. You just have to solve these two triangles. Questions will revolve on heights and distances from these two triangles, nothing else. right? I'm sure you might not have heard this approach or ever come across this approach of solving heights and distances. So go on and solve heights and distances question from this point of view. There are two triangles which are possible, right? So make sure you draw these two triangles depending on the question. Because heights and distances is all about drawing the right figure, the correct figure. If you can get the correct figure, the correct theta, you will get the answer eventually. Meritnation, this is the last time, so please answer fast. I've done a lot of practice, but still I got less marks in my half yearly and pre-boards. Kusum. See, there is no magic wand that I can swipe and you will get full marks in your board exams. It's a very tiresome and a very hard process. I'm sure that you have practiced a lot. You have given a lot of time, a lot of energy towards getting marks in half yearly and pre-boards, and still you're not getting up to your expectations. So what I can suggest you is that either lower your expectations if you can, which I'm sure most of you will not do. But if you're getting still less marks, make sure you understand where you are going wrong. Either is it in concept, is it in understanding of the concept, you're not able to apply that concept, you know the concept, but you're not able to apply. Or is it that you are doing silly mistakes, that you know the concept, you tend to be overconfident, and in hurry you do silly mistakes, right? So avoid that in both the cases. Make sure you have a balanced set of frame of mind. This is very important. This is for every one of you guys. Make sure that in your 10:30 to 1:30 in your exam time, you have a very balanced sort of approach. If a question you are able to do very quickly, do not be overconfident in solving the next question. If you get stuck in any question you're not able to solve, do not keep it in the back of the mind that I was not able to solve question number 11 while doing question number 12, because then you will not be able to solve question number 12 as well, right? Because if you keep that in back of the mind that question number 11 I haven't done, I'm not able to get, don't do that. Treat every question independently. Just do the question. If you are able to do it, then move on. If not, then also you have to move on. I'm able to prove the theorems of triangles but not triangles. All right. Harsh, where I solve any question of surface area and volume, my answers are not accurate to answers given in the answer key. If my answer is not much accurate, there is difference of answer. See, Harsh, if your answer is close enough to the actual accurate answer, let's say the answer is 100 meters square and you're getting 99.5 meters square, I would say that you will again get, if it's a 4-mark question, you will get 3.5. There's no doubt about that, right? But the end game is getting 80 on 80 for every one of you. So please understand that if the question says, please understand the intricacies of question. That if the question says use 22/7 as pi, use 22/7. Do not be an independent maverick and say that no, I'll use 3.14. Do not do that, right? There is no way by which you will not get the accurate answer unless you do approximations. So avoid the approximations. That's what I can see from your comment. So avoid the approximations in surface area volume till the time you can. You will get the accurate answer, right? And also, guys, if you are not able to actually solve anything, you go blank. You read a question. Okay, a thief runs 100 meters and picks up stones is an AP question, you know, but you go blank. Then also do not just leave the question. Make sure you write the formula from the topic it is, right? Do not just leave the question blatantly, right? Even if you write the formula, some steps, some marks would be given. There is partial marking. And trust me on this, the evaluators will be giving lots and lots of partial marking, right? So go for it. Do not be scared of maths board exam. Make sure that you do you write the steps also. You write the formulas also, if you're not able to solve the question entirely. Which proofs are important for triangles and circles, Liana? Proofs for triangles and circles, I would say, especially of circles, you can go for the tangents drawn from an outside point, they are equal. The proof of that, that's by RHS congruency rule, right? So that's very important. It's been asked in the last year board exam as well, right? Prove that the tangents drawn from an outside point are equal, right? So make sure that you do that pretty well. Also, guys, the construction is very important from the circles point of view. You will either get a question on drawing a similar triangle in the ratio m is to n, or you might get a question of drawing the tangents from an outside point, right? And also make sure that you write once at least the steps of construction. Do not leave out the steps of construction, guys, because sometimes they ask you steps of construction and you haven't practiced much. Then you tend to devote extra time, or you tend to waste your time by writing extra steps of construction, right? So make sure that you concise and accurate in your answering, so that you do not leave out questions in the end. You have ample amount of time to revise. So some tricks to solve linear equations quickly. Linear equations to solve quickly, the best method is elimination method, right? Try to be good in your calculations. Try to solve a lot of questions by elimination quickly, orally. Try to do them orally. If you can build that temperament of solving linear equations orally or by hit and trial, the numbers will automatically click for you, right? So try to solve linear equations by elimination. That's the easiest and the most less time consuming method of all. Now, importantly, let's move on. Of course, I have already mentioned this. You can get your free copy of top 100 MN questions with solutions, of course. The link is in the description. All the YouTubers and all the Facebook Live people, you are getting the comment of this 100 questions, right? You have to just sign up in your email ID. You will get the PDF sent to you. And all the registered users, all the MN students will already have got or would be getting soon in your email the PDF for 100 top 100 questions and the solutions for them. So make sure you do not miss out on this, right? Because this is the takeaway. Make sure you practice these 100 questions. If you can do that, I can guarantee you that you will get at least 80% in your board exams. If you can solve all these 100 questions thoroughly, neatly, nicely on your own, you will get 80% in your board exams. That I can proclaim right now, right? More importantly, if you're not able to get the solution as well, you're not able to solve the question and you're not able to understand the solution, you can post it on Ask and Answer, or you can ask your mentors. They will guide you and they will tell you the exact and the more detailed solution if you want, right? So please get hold of this 100 questions. Do not leave out on this. Finally, some smart study methods. Of course, everybody has studied a lot, studied hard, grilled yourself for the past 1 year at least, right? The hype is created for board exams. I'm sure not just by your parents, by your peers, and by yourself as well. So now is the time to actually do smart study. Not just study, but smart study. You don't have to go through the first page of NCERT, but you have to go through selective study, selective reading of questions. So how do we go about smart study? One is the previous year papers. We've already discussed that. The previous year papers are the best insight you can have on your board exams, right? So make sure that you do at least past 3 to 5 years previous year board exams. And one disclaimer I need to put on over here is that for the last 3 years, the board exam is slightly tough for class 10th. The maths board exam I'm talking about is slightly tough in the sense that it is not just straightforward, not so straightforward, it's slightly tricky. And that tends to make students say that it was lengthy. The paper was lengthy and you're not able to solve in the stipulated 3-hour exam. So make sure that you do the previous 3 years, at least past board exams. That will give you a very, very good insight as to how and basically how you can go about the different sections, the time allocation, and your temperament will also build for the ultimate 28th of March. Sample papers, of course, you can get hold if you're already through with previous years. You can get hold of different sample papers. It's available on our Meritnation website as well. It's available on the CBSC website, the previous year sample papers. So you can get hold of all these question papers. It's very important to keep a track of time. That's a very, very essential point to cater to. Set a time during solving a previous year paper, or in fact, set a time for solving a question. If you're solving a question, make sure you allocate just 3 to 4 minutes, right? And then you solve that. If you're not able to solve that, move on to the next one. Because it's not about just knowing things. Knowing is not enough. Doing is what matters, right? So start now, start today. Do not leave it for tomorrow, right? Anybody can start anywhere, right? But that doesn't matter, right? What matters is where you end up, what score you get. Because trust me on this, the board exams, the marks that you get in your 10 standard board exams, that will stay for your rest of your life, for the rest of your graduation, for your jobs, for wherever you want to go, right? They will always be asking, how much did you score in 10 standard, right? So do not take the pressure of that, but also have that in the back of the mind that these are very important score that you're going to get, right? So make sure that you practice a lot of sample papers. You start now the revision if you haven't started already, right? This is another slide basically talking about just a second. Yeah. So over here we've got the Three Idiots. I'm sure that you all have watched the movie by now. What do we learn from this movie is that basically, even if you are a so-called idiot, you can still get through and do good in your life. It's all about the passion you have to have, the zeal you have to perform, right? So make sure that you do not get disheartened by your pre-boards result. You do not get demotivated by them, and at the same time, do not get complacent and overconfident about them. Have a balanced approach, guys, and I'm sure you'll do well. Had a lot of distractions in my home during the whole evening and night. What should I do? Nabanil, everyone has distractions, everyone has problems, everyone has lots of tensions, right? Losers make excuses, winners get the full marks in board exams, right? Winners know the strategy, winners know the plan, right? So go for it, right? Yes, you might have had distractions in your home in the whole evening and night. Study in the morning. Who's stopping you? Evening and night, your distractions. Study in the morning, right? Make sure everyone of you is pumped up for the board exams. What kind of questions you're going to get? Because you've practiced all along the year, right? All throughout the year, you practiced a lot, right? So now is the time to execute, to show how much you've practiced, how much you know, right? So how many more free live strategy sessions we'll be having? Sandeep, this is just the first session of the strategy series. Tomorrow also we have lined up the strategy sessions for you guys, right? All the timing will be the same. And also on Saturday, they're having 3 sessions of strategy series, right? This is the first one that is happening today. And we'll have at the same time tomorrow and day after tomorrow as well. So make sure you tune up either on YouTube, either on Facebook, whenever you get time, whenever you feel that you need sort of break. And also if you're really into the question solving, because tomorrow we'll be solving the questions, many questions, many typical problems of quadratic equations, of coordinate geometry, of mensuration of circles. We'll be solving them tomorrow for sure, right? Do we have to convert the root over values to decimals? Absolutely not, Liana. Absolutely not. If it's given in the question that root 3 is 1.73 so and so, you have to do that. Otherwise, no. All right. So just read the questions thoroughly in your board exam, right? Do not just blatantly start answering it, right? Make sure that you point out that, okay, you tick mark the questions that you've done, right? That gives you a very good, very, very mental boost, right? So make sure that you do not get complacent and or you do not get overconfident or underconfident. Have that zeal to perform, guys. Have that curiosity for the questions, right? Automatically the success, the marks will come along the way. But have that curiosity for knowledge, for questions, for problem solving, automatically you'll get good marks in board exams, right? So with this, I would like to end the session today, right now, right? And please tune in the same time tomorrow as well. We'll be having the strategy session. So please make sure that you log in Facebook or YouTube. Is night studying more effective or morning studying? Navya, it's up to you. It's totally up to you. What you've been doing for the entire year, what suits you best. It's some of the students I've seen that they like the night time because it's very peaceful, right? And they tend to be more productive. However, some of the students also say that no, I feel that in morning my brain works super fast, I'm all charged up, and I can do more questions. So it's totally up to you, whichever suits you better. Find your own plan, that I will study in the night or in the morning. You can experiment right now for 2 3 days and chalk out a basic plan that okay, make a timetable, I'll stick to it for sure through the board exams, right? How to study if you're an average student? uh Preeta, I'll take your doubt in the next session. Please tune in tomorrow, same time, right? We'll discuss more strategies, more planning, and also how to go about that 5 day preparatory leave. Also, we'll do some questions side by side, right? So please, guys, I request you all to please get the hold of the top 100 questions. Also, you can revise coordinate geometry, circles, and trigo. We'll be discussing especially these three topics from questions from these three topics in the next class, in the next session. Right? What are the ways to top math exam? Rashmi, practice, practice, practice. Just keep on practicing as many questions as you can. Different variety of questions, different sort of questions. You will do really well in your board exams, right? So with this, I would like to take your leave, guys, and I wish you all the best, everyone. I wish you all the very, very well for your board exams. I'm sure everyone is going to do well, right? It's all about keeping your calm, keeping the composed attitude, right? And I'm sure everyone is going to rock in the board exams and come out as a true winner, and come out with all the flying colors, as they say in board exams, right? So all the very best from my side, guys. Make sure you tune in the next for the next session, same time, right? This is me signing off. Okay, so bye bye, bye bye, guys.